You just got the promotion you've been chasing for 2 years. And within an hour, you're already looking at someone else's title. This isn't rare. It's the default setting of the human brain. Psychologists call it the comparison spiral, the moment winning stops feeling like winning because your mind has already moved the finish line. You hit a goal, and instead of celebrating, you're scanning for the next benchmark, the next person ahead of you. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why achievement stopped making you happy, and what actually works instead. Here's how the spiral works. You set a goal. You reach it. For a few hours, maybe a day, you feel good. Then your brain quietly resets. The new normal becomes the baseline, and the search for the next win begins again. This is called hedonic adaptation, your brain's tendency to return to a stable level of happiness no matter what happens to you. Win the lottery, get the dream job, buy the house. Research shows the emotional high fades faster than people expect. But there's a second layer that makes it worse: comparison. In the 1950s, psychologist Leon Festinger proposed something called social comparison theory. His idea was simple. Humans evaluate their own worth by comparing themselves to others, especially when there's no objective measure. There's no absolute scale for successful or attractive or smart. So your brain builds one using the people around you. The problem is, your brain doesn't pick a fair reference point. It picks whoever is currently winning. So the moment you catch up to someone, your brain quietly swaps them for someone further ahead. This is why a raise that would have thrilled you 5 years ago barely registers today. Your reference point moved. Not because you're ungrateful, because that's literally how the mechanism is designed to work. Social media didn't invent this instinct, but it turned it into a full-time job. Every scroll puts you next to someone's highlight reel: their body, their income, their relationship, their vacation. Your brain treats each one as new data for the comparison scale, whether you consciously notice it or not. Here's the part that makes this genuinely unfair. You're comparing your full, unfiltered life to someone else's edited highlight reel. You know your own doubts, your bad days, your background footage. You only see their trailer. Researchers call this the comparison gap, and it's one of the most consistent predictors of dissatisfaction in modern psychology studies. The wild part is, this happens even to people who are objectively winning by every external measure. Olympic athletes have reported feeling worse after silver medals than bronze, because silver means so close to gold. Bronze medalists compare themselves to not medaling at all and feel relief. Silver medalists compare themselves to gold and feel loss. Same achievement, completely different emotional experience. Because satisfaction was never about the medal, it was about the comparison point. This tells you something important. Happiness isn't determined by your position. It's determined by your reference point. And if you don't consciously choose your reference point, your brain will choose the most painful one available. So how do you actually break the spiral? It starts with understanding what kind of measurement you're using. There are 2 ways to measure progress: relative and absolute. Relative measurement asks, am I ahead of them? Absolute measurement asks, am I ahead of where I was? Relative measurement is a trap because there will always be someone ahead of you in something. Absolute measurement is winnable because it's compared only against your own past, a fixed, honest point. The comparison spiral thrives on relative measurement. It weakens the moment you switch to absolute measurement. Step 1 to breaking this: keep a private record of your own starting point before you set any new goal. Not for anyone else to see. Just a marker so future you has something honest to measure against. Step 2. When you catch yourself comparing, name it out loud. I'm doing the comparison thing again. Naming the pattern interrupts it. It moves the comparison from an automatic reflex to a conscious choice. Step 3. Audit your inputs. If a certain feed consistently triggers the spiral, that's data, not drama. You're allowed to mute, unfollow, or limit exposure to anything that keeps resetting your baseline unfairly. Step 4. Practice what psychologists call downward counterfactual thinking, briefly imagining how things could have gone worse. This isn't about guilt-tripping yourself into gratitude. It's about restoring a wider, more accurate reference point. Step 5. Celebrate on a schedule, not on a feeling. Mark the win the moment it happens before your brain resets. A 5-minute ritual. Writing it down, telling someone, sitting with it, locks in the feeling before comparison creeps back in. None of this stops your brain from comparing. That instinct is wired in and it's not going away. But you can decide which comparisons get airtime and which ones you actively interrupt. The goal was never to stop comparing completely. That's not realistic for any human being. The goal is to stop letting the least fair comparison in the room set your entire emotional baseline. Because right now, that's exactly what's happening for most people most of the time. So here's a question worth sitting with. What's the last win you had that you didn't actually get to enjoy? Not because it wasn't good enough, because your brain had already moved on to the next benchmark. Think about who you were comparing yourself to in that moment. Was it a fair comparison or a moving target? Next time you hit a goal, try this. Measure it only against where you started, not against anyone else. Give yourself the 5 minutes. Let the win actually land before your brain resets the scoreboard. Winning was never supposed to feel empty. It feels empty when the comparison point keeps running away from you. Fix the reference point, and the same achievement can feel completely different. If this changed how you think about your own goals, subscribe. Next week, we're breaking down why rest feels like guilt. And drop a comment. What's one absolute win you're going to actually celebrate this week? Because the finish line only keeps moving if you let it. Measure against yourself and you can actually win.